Are we good?
I'll make sure we're in. Yeah, we're good.
Ooh, that was timed so nicely. Good morning, everybody. We hope that your Wednesday morning is off to a great start. We also hope that you had a great sleep on a hearty Tuesday evening that for me was a little bit cold. Everybody, today is a very important and special day. It's Wednesday, November 11th. Today is Remembrance Day, as recognized here in Canada.
Yep.
Just to start off the top of our show, it's hard to even talk about. It's just important to keep in mind today all the people that gave their lives to ensure our safety as a nation, ensure the safety of their children and their children's children, and so on and so forth. It's something that we, as I think, as a generation and as a whole, never will be able to gain the full appreciation for, because we won't ever be subjected to the same things that our grandparents and great-grandparents were for the First and Second World War, and everything that happened in between and outside of it relating to war in general.
Just the personal sacrifice that they made, both on and off the field, and
and not just men, women too, children,
families of the veterans.
Yeah. It's one of those things that can be compared to almost somebody that's taken their life. It affects not just one, but an array of people that are closely related to that person.
Yeah.
And that can be said about one person. So on the scale of First and Second World War, everything around it, like Aidan and I were talking about if we should make a whole episode about this, and for me personally, I just find it'd be hard to talk for a whole hour without getting extremely emotional, and that's given the fact that neither of us were even involved in something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just keep your respect, keep your wits about you, and especially if today of all days, make sure that you appreciate every breath of air that you take as a free individual. At the end of our show,
brother.
Amen. At the end of our show, we'll take a minute or two of silence. But yeah. So to get into it, Aidan and I are going to talk about something today that it's kind of, I would say, kind of runs through the veins of society.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about coffee.
It's the drug that everyone's on.
Yeah. And that's a funny thing it's a funny way to describe it, because so many people argue that it's not a drug, or caffeine in general isn't a drug.
It is a drug, man.
Totally a drug. Just like some quick little facts. So the first cup of coffee actually dates back to 800 AD. Legend has it that the 9th century goat herders noticed the effect of caffeine and that it had on their goats, who appeared to dance after eating the fruit of the coffee plant. A local monk then made a drink with the produce and found that it kept him awake at night. Thus, the original cup of coffee was born. And I feel like, based on the region, geographical area, like everybody thinks they had the best or the first cup of coffee. I feel like there's many other.
Well, where was this?
So they didn't really specify the
I'm
exact.
guessing somewhere South America.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Just considering every coffee I buy says Colombia or Costa Rica.
Right. Well, and coffee beans are technically seeds too. Like they're the pits of the cherry. There's a cherry berry, actually, is what it's called, found on the flowering shrubs. We call them beans because of its resemblance to legumes. I'm not even sure what legumes are. I assume it's another.
It's just like a bean, or I think cashews or legumes.
Oh, legumes. Excuse me for my pronunciation. Do you like cashews?
I like cashews.
I can't do it, man.
You don't like cashews?
You
Cashews
can
are
actually,
like one of my favorite nuts, man.
I like almonds as long as they're covered in chocolate.
Yeah. Here, let's cheers. We
Yeah,
both got our
cheers,
Darth
bud.
Vader mugs going.
Yeah. Aidan has a new little toy.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that for a minute. So for a long time, I was using a Keurig machine with a reusable little pod, and it's better for the environment and better for your wallet, because you can buy big cans of coffee, whatever. But it made really bad coffee. It was out in the kitchen, but I was the only one that ever used it, because I like to drink bad coffee.
Right. And Hayden likes to press it.
Yeah, and do all sorts of fancy things. And there's a reason I like bad coffee. It's because I can go into a gas station and get a coffee.
Oh,
it's a survival tactic, because So many people are like, oh, I have to have this, fancy whatever from Starbucks, and I'm like, nope, just black garbage coffee. I can get a coffee anywhere I want.
You go to a gas station on en route, get a coffee, and you're still satisfied.
And I'm fine with it.
That is so smart.
Yeah.
Huh. It's unlike those people that get the Starbucks tall every morning.
Yeah.
That always trips me out so much whenever I ask for a large and they're like, what size is that? Sorry, a large? We don't do larges here. It's venti.
I find that frustrating.
Or whatever. So in consuming coffee in general, you can consume the bean once pressed and made into, made into coffee.
I didn't tell you about my new machine.
Oh, sorry.
So Hayden's mom, my roommate, they've been the Nespresso boys for a long time, and she got an offer where if she bought 400 pods or something like that, she'd get the machine for $30, and she was going to buy 400 pods anyway. So I just e-transferred her $30 and got a nice Nespresso machine.
$30 for 400 pods?
No, the machine is $30. You have to buy 400 pods.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is a lot of pods. Like, holy crap. But it makes really good coffee, and that kind of breaks my rule, because now, I go, Tim Hortons has bad coffee, but I could always drink it.
Yeah.
Now I go to like Tim Hortons and I get like a large black coffee, and it's like,
notice the difference?
This tastes like cigarette ash water,
Oh, damn, man. Do you remember, like I find the best coffee is like the best blended coffee, where like, you can kind of, the texture of the water and the actual coffee itself.
Texture of the water.
Yeah, it being like a feeling or taste of wetness or dryness. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
So it kind of, I find if the steaminess of the coffee is separate from the water, you kind of take a sip, you feel like, the liquid, but then you get the coffee taste after. It's kind of more an aftertaste.
Yeah.
I find that's like a good definition of like a bad cup of coffee. Whereas if it's blended, creamy, and nicely put together, it can be a better cup of coffee.
Okay.
But you notice that difference when you're going out now to get regular cups of Joe after you have that new machine?
I rarely go out to get coffee, man. That's like the one thing that I don't get out,
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm out and about and I really need a coffee, I'll buy one, and that's the only reason I'll get one.
Right.
Guy we worked with, I think he's told me he spent $70 a week at Starbucks.
That's insane. That's only like 4 cups of coffee too.
Yeah, and it's just like, holy crap. And it's just like, I'd rather have a hamburger,
Yeah, or like get something that actually sustain you for like a whole day.
Yeah.
If you're spending that much.
Especially when like I have a nice little convenient coffee machine here.
Yeah.
My Keurig's in the basement, but the Nespresso machine makes awesome coffee.
Do you you like to load up in the mornings, right? Like do you drink coffee throughout the whole day? Excuse me. Or do you like to have a few glasses in the morning and then go about your day without drinking a lot?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have like 2 or 3 cups in the morning, and then, sometimes I'm out and about all day and I just don't get a chance to have another one.
Mm-hmm.
Other days I'm at home, I'll have like 1 cup, and then a couple hours later I'll have another cup, and then a couple hours later I'll have another cup.
Gotcha.
But I'd say it's like generally minimum 3 cups of coffee.
How do you feel if you don't have a cup of coffee, like after multiple days of drinking it?
I'm weirdly okay with it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Some people get like the sweats and get like really, tense and angst.
I'll get a little bit of a headache, but headaches generally don't bug me that much, Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh, I'm in a bad mood, why? And then I'm like, oh, I guess I've had a headache for an hour,
Right.
Like,
I remember you told me once, like you've always been pretty good at like, or I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing, blessing and a curse, but you like work through headaches without even realizing you have one until like you stop what you're doing. And I get
okay, how about you though? Because you were a barista and you don't drink coffee.
Yes, this is so I'm drinking coffee now, which is a rare occasion. For me, I liked
in the Darth Vader mugs.
Yeah. Darth Vader is the OG. We are on the dark side of drinking coffee now, the dark roast, I guess. But no, so I was a barista that didn't like to drink coffee. I've always been like a hot chocolate guy. And Aidan actually explained this to me one day like very, very well, and it made a lot of sense. For me, I feel like I'm operating at, like a pretty fast speed. Sometimes it's hard for me to stay focused on a certain task if I'm focusing on it for too long, et cetera, et cetera. So I find Aidan, and correct me if I'm wrong in explaining it, Aidan explained it like, when I drink coffee, my RPM, my revs per minute.
Can I explain this? Because it's
yes,
my idea,
yes,
and I'm very...
Yeah.
Okay, so my theory is that, Everest is operating at 6,000 RPM at all times, okay? Hopefully most of our viewers understand what RPMs are. A weird number of my friends don't even have their G1 license, which
revolutions per minute,
Yep.
rotations,
yeah,
whatever.
where I'm kind of a slow being. I operate at 1,000 RPM, and coffee just sets everyone's RPM to 3,000. So for me, it feels like a boost in energy, like I'm going faster. But for Everest, who's up here all the time, it brings him down to here. So even though we're both at the same, you know.
Yeah, and it's weird because I'll get like 10 minutes of like, ooh, you know, but then after 10 minutes, I'll want to pass out. I'll be exhausted. But that being said, I find like the hot chocolate, just a little bit of sugar, keeps me awake, and in what I feel like is the same way that coffee does for most people.
Yeah.
When I was working, I worked at it was a bar / coffee shop, so we do like mornings 8:30 a.m. to about noon. We do coffee mainly, and then after about like 1:30, we'd start doing alcohol, as well as coffee and food. But man, like it was just so weird. You know, people would ask me, "Oh, like what's good here? Like, what's your best roast coffee?" And I'd have to try all these different types of espresso in the first 2 weeks of training to be able to answer these questions. And I remember those first 2 weeks, I was coming into work. I had to ask my boss. I was like, "Man, can I start coming in at like 3 and stay an hour later? This just works better for me." But I was honestly telling him that because I found myself always going in drinking not only just like coffee if I had to test it, but other caffeinated drinks like I drink a lot of chai teas, you know what I mean, and other things like that, and that was, I find, just ramping me up and making me exhausted by the end of the day. So I feel like it's got to fit with you, you know. Coffee's got to fit with you.
Yeah.
And you are a rare case because you drink your coffee completely dark. Like you don't take any sugar, any milk. Like you're straight up black coffee.
So when I was in so I've been drinking coffee forever. I've been drinking coffee since like grade 6 or something like that, right? They say it stunts your growth, and I'm 5'8", so you know, maybe there's some truth to that. But I went on a awesome yacht trip when I was in grade 7 or 8. So my uncle worked at this, you know, financial firm, and his boss has this yacht. I'm gonna try and pull up the website while I talk about this. And this yacht, it's called the Toy Box 2. It's like an 82-foot yacht. It's so big that it has a crane that drops another boat into the water, so you can
like the little Zodiac boat.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Does it have like like some of those crazy yachts have like the hatches for Sea-Doos and other equipment like that? Like
it had a hot tub on it.
That's insane, man. That's crazy. I feel like that's a indication that you've made it. Maybe it's an indication that you've made it.
Yeah.
No, it's a damn well indication that you've made it.
Here, I found the thing. So
whether from an ethical standard or unethical, whatever you want to look at it from. Could be a drug dealer buying a yacht, you know, an Arabian coffee dealer that owns a yacht is the definition of a man or woman that has made it. Cheers.
So, anyways, I guess as a bit of a bonus, the boss of my uncles who owned this yacht, would let one of his employees take the first trip of the season. And this was kind of like a trial trip. Like if anything was ever going to break, you know, it was going to be on the first trip out in the spring, you know. So just like as a bonus, and like so that he's not, you know, losing money from like an angry customer who rented it for the week or whatever and had it broke. Yeah. You know, he gives it to his peons. But anyways, so my uncle, you know, great guy, takes me, my dad, my grandpa, my other uncle, and my grandpa's friend Miles. I love Miles. He's just this guy that's got a mustache and works on the oil rigs.
I'm not gonna lie, I have a little cousin named Miles. I think I can affirm that every single person named Miles is like some sort of, you know, active way.
Yeah.
Every single Miles I've met is in a sport or doing something whack. Sorry, continue.
So anyways, we're on this amazing yacht trip. We're fishing. I caught a shark. It was only about that big, but I caught a shark. We caught crabs, you know, hung out in the hot tub. Every single room in this place had a TV that would come out of something. You know, so in the kitchen, I'm like, oh, there's no TVs on this boat. What the hell?
Probably like stained mahogany.
And the captain's like,
shelves
hits the button and it goes out from behind the table.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And it has like a captain and a first mate who like live in the basement of the boat.
What the heck? Did they have like any other staff? Or did they have like food caterers or anything?
No,
like
my dad did all the cooking.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, awesome trip. And you know, first day, we're picking up all our groceries or whatever. We get a big pack of Keurig pods for the coffee, whatever. and we get on the boat and we realize we have no cream or sugar. So for the first like 3 or 4 days of this trip, everyone's drinking black coffee and complaining about it, blah 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 blah. And then we pull into port to do another grocery shop or whatever, and like it's kind of after that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna drink coffee black, because then I don't have to worry about not having milk or not having sugar.
Okay.
And as a student, I generally I often don't have milk.
Right.
Sugar's expensive. And
right.
So it's just it's survival.
Yeah.
Like just get by without it.
Right. That's so weird because so many. I feel like I remember when I'd see my dad drinking. My dad drinks black coffee as well. I mean, if I ever I'd take a sip of it and I would never like it, but I'd always want to be more like my dad. So I always grew up with this notion of being like, hey, if I ever drink when I turn 16 and I get my G1, I'll be having a dark roast coffee and right there. But for you, it was like an actual event that made you realize that black coffee was cheaper.
That's why I like spicy food too.
Because it's cheaper?
No.
Why?
It's like another survival tactic. Because when I had my paper route, I would go to Giant Tiger and I'd buy chips, and then I would come back home and I'd eat my chips, whatever, and I'd go finish the bag and it was gone. Like my dad or my brothers had gotten into it. So I'm like, okay, if I get these jalapeno chips,
oh my god,
someone else in the family is gonna eat them.
You're like a food genius.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's all about survival of the fittest. It's methods,
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Do your brothers is anybody in the family weird in a way does anybody like black licorice or something? Gets an abundance of one thing?
My mom likes black licorice, and every time I have it, I gag.
I can't do it, man.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
You remember those licorice candies? They're all weird shapes and weird colors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She used to have those all the time too, and I remember I tried one and I immediately went and threw up. I was 4 or 5 at the time, but.
Do you ever have the little packs of 4 small licorice multicolored, purple, yellow?
Oh, those were disgusting.
Those were so nasty, man.
Oh
I don't like
God.
those ones.
Those were in the Halloween candy.
Yeah,
I couldn't get rid of them.
Actual rubber.
Yeah.
Felt like the plastic part of a lollipop stick. So there.
Another thing.
Yes.
Very divisive. Tootsie Rolls.
I love Tootsie Rolls.
I love Tootsie Rolls.
I like Tootsie Rolls a lot.
A lot of people are like, it's just rubber. And
It's
I'm
not.
It's not. It is taffy chocolate. It is brilliant.
It's brilliant. It's diverse. You can get them in multiple different sizes and thicknesses. They're fun treat. They dissolve in your mouth. There's honestly not enough good things I could say about, friggin' Tootsie Rolls. They're amazing. Back to coffee. There are 2 main types. There's Arabica and Robusta. Growers predominantly plant the Arabica species, although less popular. Robusta tastes slightly more bitter and contains more caffeine. Brazil grows the most coffee in the world. So today, Brazil uses about a third of the world's supply, produces about a third of the world's supply, According to the International Coffee Organization, about twice as much as the second place holder, Vietnam. So Brazil produces a crap load of coffee, which is, I don't see a lot of Brazilian branded coffee in our metros and stuff like that.
No, it's always Costa Rica or
Yeah.
Colombia or whatever. The thing I find weird is that, I see so many are 100% Arabica beans or whatever. I thought that was something special. I'm just finding out now that that's
it's just the type.
It's the type of plant, but it's it's just saying this is coffee,
Yeah. Oh man.
I want to try some Robusta now. I wonder if I've ever had Robusta.
I wonder where because I assume that standard coffee in Canada, at least that's sold at Tim Hortons and stuff, is Arabica.
I think they say that, they say 100% Arabica beans or whatever.
Right.
What about that?
I want some Robusta.
What about that coffee? It was it was a plot point in the Bucket List. And it's this coffee, the Bucket List with Morgan Freeman and someone else famous.
The horror movie guy. Here's Johnny. It's that guy.
Is it that guy?
I think so.
I thought it was the guy from not Goodfellas.
Let's see here. Morgan Freeman's a great actor. Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
Oh, Jack
Nicholson.
That's
Jack
Nicholson,
Johnny,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I was wrong. Okay, but he's some sort of millionaire, and he only drinks this one type of coffee, and he finds out towards the end of the movie that the type of coffee he drinks is one that the beans are eaten by a lynx or something like that, and then pooped out, and the poop is collected, and um, that's what's roasted.
It's like a rigorous fermentation process.
Yeah.
Ew. Is that
But it's like the most expensive coffee in the world because it's like
this is a
people just walk around and pick up the poop and put it in a basket. Google it, man. It's real.
okay? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Coffee extracted feces, or that should be the other way around, probably.
It's the same thing with like a lot of makeup has bat poop in it. And then some perfumes, some very high-end and now illegal perfumes have ambergris, which is just whale bile.
Ew.
We use a lot of disgusting crap.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, so something, I don't know if it's the exact one that you were talking about, but Kopi Luwak is made from coffee beans plucked from civets feces. This is bad news for civets, the world's most expensive coffee, and it's made from poop, or rather it's made from coffee beans that are particularly digested then pooped out by the civet. I need to know what a civet is. That's very strange. I never
I'll put a picture of it on stream.
Yeah, CIVET. Whoa, I think this is what you're talking about. Holy.
Is it like a cat?
It's like a little cat leopard looking thing. It's like a
Yeah.
mongoose mixed with a leopard.
That's definitely what I'm talking about here.
It's a lagoose.
There you go.
That's
Civets.
insane. I feel like it has like really cute little babies though.
Oh yeah, probably.
So this is like this coffee's that expensive. Holy crap!
It's like $100 a cup or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or $100 a bag, or.
Yeah, let me.
I want to try some, man.
I want to try some too. I want to try some of that non-Arabic coffee as well.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay, I need to. Okay.
Can we get on Uber Eats? Like, can we order this like on stream?
It consists of partially digested cherries from the civet. Yes, from the civet, which have been eaten and defecated by the Asian palm civet. It is therefore also called civet coffee. The cherries are fermented as they pass through the civet's intestines, and after being defecated with other fecal matter, it's taken, retrieved, strained, and pressed into coffee.
Disturbing.
That's very, very gross,
disturbing.
Very gross.
I'll drink it though.
If you're not really into the more exotic brands of coffee, you can always kind of like go into like
Starbucks.
yeah, you could go into Starbucks, but you could go into how do I say this? I'm losing
Walmart,
the word here.
Get some
Yeah,
K-cups.
you can go into some Walmart-like countries and get some coffee. So in the U.S., there's only 2 states that actually produce coffee. Kona Coffee is the United States' gift to the coffee world. Anything that's a gift from the United States is probably a shit sandwich.
Yep.
Because coffee traditionally grows best in climates along the equator, Hawaii's weather is optimal for harvesting beans. California also recently got into the coffee game with dozens of farms now churning out pricey premium bags.
That's the most California thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. What do you think in terms of this, kind of push from the States and Canada, not even, I won't say from Canada, but mainly from the States, which is such a huge purchaser of international coffee beans, assumingly. What do you think about them kind of, making their own homegrown coffee? How do you think that would affect the coffee?
I think it's probably a
market?
good thing, because I feel like it's probably pretty damaging to South America, and then it's damaging to the environment having all these exports, so to have it kind of locally grown. And then also, I'm all about fleecing rich people. So if you can sell a rich guy a mediocre cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and then I can get the good stuff for cheap, I'm all about that.
Yep. I agree with you, bro. Yep. Jordan Belfort, the hell out of him. So, a quick little cool thing about the word espresso. It actually means espresso, Presso, so pressed out in Italian. This refers to the way that espresso is made, forcing boiling water through pressed coffee grounds, and although espresso has more caffeine per volume than coffee, it would take 3 shots to equal the amount in a regular cup of joe. That's pretty, I didn't know that. I thought espresso, like 1 espresso shot, even when I was working at the bar,
Yeah, I thought it was kind of 1-to-1.
we were told that like 1 espresso shot is like equivalent to
I feel like it depends on how you make it, though. Like, I feel like the traditional Italian way, it's probably 1/3 or something like that.
Yeah, probably
But
not
I
as
But I feel like you
intense.
can probably make it so that it's just as strong.
Right. I remember people can get very particular about how you make their coffee. Even like a standard Americano, which is just, excuse me, espresso, a shot or a double, mixed with really hot water. like people will get really annoyed. Like I'll put in just standard, hi sir, what would you like? I'll get an Americano double. So 2 shots of espresso, pour it in the cup, boiling water, so on and so forth. They'll get, like, some customers will get extremely pissed at me if I don't like scoop out the foam. Some customers get extremely mad at me if I were to do that. It's very weird, I find, just how, combined with the chemical actions of, not being dependent on coffee, but for some people they are dependent on coffee.
Yep.
I'd get customers that come in and are like, just kind of freaking out at me if I make the tiniest little alter mistake that wasn't even supposed to be, mentioned for making a standard Americano cup of coffee. It's crazy. People are crazy about their coffee sometimes.
The thing that I find frustrating is when I'm like, hey, I'm going to Timmy's, or even less frequently because I hate Starbucks, but hey, I'm going to Starbucks. Anybody want anything? And they're like, yeah, I'll get a Frappamapo, 2 shots of da-da-da, and half a shot of, almond milk and frothed, and then put it in the blender, and it's like, holy crap, your coffee order should not be a goddamn novel,
No, I agree.
It's like, oh my god.
Well, I feel like that's kind of like the...
And then I have to recite this poem to the person who's making the coffee, and then they have to double check it with me. Like, it should not be like, disarming a nuclear device to order a coffee.
Cut the red wire here.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like I'm making an assumption, but I assume that's because of like the more like Americanized version of, making coffee.
That's just sugar, man.
But just in terms of like the huge list of things that you can make, like a caramel macchiato with extra pump of espresso and whip, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like in a lot of other countries, like, it's always been just kind of standard espresso, coffee, black or, mixed.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the health related aspects, a lot of people, like as in, countries and nations, have actually tried to ban coffee as a whole. So back in 1511, leaders in Mecca believed that it stimulated radical thinking and outlawed the drink. So that's pretty messed up. Some 16th century Italian clergymen also tried to ban coffee because they believed it to be satanic. However, Pope Clement, I hope I pronounced that right, loved coffee so much that he lifted the ban and had coffee baptized in 1600. So
What?
Coffee's been baptized.
Whoa, how do you do that? How do you
Take
baptize
this
a
bean
liquid?
and cleanse it from its roots of
Oh, I guess you
freaking
could.
peril.
I guess you could do a B&A. I thought the guy had straight up had a mug of coffee and just dumped it in the holy water.
That's the first Americano right there.
Yeah,
man.
I guess so, eh?
Oh, frig.
Oh.
Even as recently as the 18th century, the Swedish government made both coffee and coffee paraphernalia, including cups and dishes, illegal for its supposed ties to the rebellious sentiments. Just a quick side note, all of these sources are sourced by Amanda Hawkins and Carolyn Picard of goodhousekeeping.com. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. I didn't know like coffee could actually be, like baptized or whatever. But so a lot of reasons these people tried to ban coffee on top of, this relation to Satanism and like thoughts of uprising and whatnot. You can actually physically overdose on coffee, but it's not to worry. The average person would need to drink about 30 cups in a very short period of time to get close to a lethal dose of caffeine. Have you, sir, ever felt like you've had like not like a coffee overdose, but like, holy, this is too much coffee. Like I feel like crap because of so much coffee. Is it like, do you feel like in your like stomach thing, like nausea?
It's a stomach thing and it's a heart thing. So I think the worst I ever was I think I didn't sleep well the night before and I had something big that day. So I had a lot of coffee and I had a couple of Monster Energies, which was not wise because I felt very nauseous and I had terrible heart palpitations and I was sweating like crazy. And I guess another experience with that, not so much coffee but Monster Energy. So remember, because I used to work construction, right?
Right.
And it was doing like bathroom renos and kitchen renos and some commercial stuff too, kind of like retail, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. We were doing a guy's deck in the heat of August. It was like 45 degrees, middle of a heat wave, no shade. I didn't have sunglasses, and generally I have water in my car, but my boss had given me a lift in his truck.
Oh no.
So I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, I just need a water. And he's like, I don't have any water. I'm like, well, what do you have? He's like, Monster Energy. So I think I had 4 or 5 Monster Energies while I'm like actively dehydrated
And working,
and
sweating.
working and sweating. And I started driving home and I pulled over and threw up on the side of the road.
It's like green.
I think I straight up had a heat stroke, and it was just this acidic green chemical sludge that I puked up, and it was, yeah. If you're having breakfast right now, you know,
Think about that as the milk drops from the spoon of your cereal spoon
yeah.
to your bowl. That's the great
and also
moment.
learn from my mistakes, young children.
Yes, yes. Now, Aidan, despite these, you know, outlying health risks or supposed health risks that could be associated to consuming copious amounts of caffeine in the form of coffee, research has actually shown that coffee drinkers tend to live longer in general. This research linking moderate consumption, about 3 to 4 cups per day, with a longer lifespan, plus a reduced risks of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and Parkinson's disease, according to a Harvard Health publishing.
I was going to say the diabetes thing. I've heard that before.
Do you have any idea why? I can't think
I
of why.
couldn't think of why. Might be something else. Like, it might not be the caffeine. It could be some natural enzyme that plays well with the pancreas or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like coffee's not very good for your liver.
I feel like nothing's good for your liver.
Yeah.
Think about what your liver's
water,
job is. You know, it's essentially a filter, right?
So why would you put anything other
Why would
than
you
the
put
thinnest form of...
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we a good design? Are humans a good biological design? Are we kind of like...
No, I think we're kind of the Fiats of animals.
Yeah.
You know, our eyes fail, we get diabetes. Our knees, you know, knee failures. Our feet are just hands that have decided to be feet. Like, if we were actually, you know, designed to be upright or whatever, we'd have hooves or something like that, right? I think there was like a Cheddar video about how bad our feet are designed.
I read something that apparently within the next 3,000, within 1,000 to 3,000 years, Homo sapiens will have evolved our pinky toes will be evolved. Like, we won't have pinky toes in 3,000 years because we don't need it apparently.
Okay, is your earlobe attached or is it detached?
I think it's detached.
Because mine's attached. Apparently one is more evolved than the other, but I don't remember which. Because one is going in one direction. Are we going to do rock, paper, scissors to see who's the higher evolved being?
Oh, fuck. Out of 2 out of 3.
You won.
I know, but 2 out of 3.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell.
Apparently I'm lesser evolved than
No, it's because I had one coffee this morning for the first time.
No, it's because your earlobes can read my mind.
So, yeah, people tend to live longer if you drink coffee. It's pretty cool. Do you did you try at any point a different kind of coffee that challenged your dedication to only drinking black coffee? Did you ever have something that was like, oh, I might try to, you know, switch this out for my routine, you know? Screw this standard cup of Joe.
I am, you know, like, morally against people that are like, I need a Frappa-Lappa double shot. I don't know, you know, like all that crap. I just find it frustrating, right? Because you're just drinking a big cup of sugar that costs $9.
Well, and for us too, you know, growing up on the farm, you had a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
You were putting a freaking whipped cream topping on that thing.
Yeah. But I will say that my kind of Achilles heel with that regard is Tim Hortons ice caps.
Okay.
I don't have them very often. Lila has them every day, and she's lactose intolerant. So she just carpet bombs the bathroom whenever she has one, which is almost every day.
Shout out Lila.
Shout out Lila. Yeah, I'd say that's it for me. How about you? You're not a coffee guy. You're a hot chocolate guy.
But I got into this kind of, so they'd make this thing, like, because I was like working at the bar, I was able to, you know, kind of mess around and make things that weren't on the menu that I liked. So I'd make like a iced chai that was tasty, and I'd put a bunch of chocolate powder in it. Sounds very sugary and bad for you now that I look back on it. But my friend said, hey man, like, I know you don't like coffee, but why don't you try like a tiny bit of the espresso? It might add this kind of smoky, almondy taste to it. And I said, okay, yeah, sure. And I would end up putting in like a quarter of a shot of espresso, and that was kind of the only caffeine coffee that I liked. And that was if I was doing like a 3 p.m. to a 4 a.m., you know, like cleaning
Oh my
clothes.
God, those shifts sound awful. Can I just say that espresso is just motor oil?
It
You
tastes
ever
like
just
it.
drink a thing of espresso? It's just like oily and thick and bitter. It's just like downing a shot of 5W40 or something like that.
The bitterness gets me. I get like, it's like, I don't even know how, it's like a metallic bitterness almost.
Yeah.
It's so,
I wonder if that metallic is just from the machine being under such high pressure and high heat and high
Yeah.
stress. It's just straight up metal from the machine, you know?
oh man, like, you know, if you ever get a coffee at like Starbucks or something and they'll do all the crazy little hand movements and then like a spray, excuse me, and then you'll see all the steam kind of fluff out. There's no need for them to do that other steaming thing unless they're like, their wand is completely disgusting, which it isn't, because you should be wiping it every time. The extra steam is honestly so many of the times just for like show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I remember like I've burnt myself a considerable amount of
Come here,
times on the steam wand.
Come here. Come here, Lila. Come here. Lila, how many times a day do you have an ice cap?
I haven't had an ice cap in a couple weeks.
Okay, how often did you used to have an ice cap?
Like once a day.
Like once a day?
Well, one time a day, like 3 or 4 times a week.
This is Lila over here, everybody. She's refusing to come on camera.
Did you, when you stopped drinking your ice caps like consistently, did you want your ice caps? Did you feel like, oh, I can't wake up, I don't feel as awake right now or anything like
I
that?
wasn't really like feeling awake. It was just like gotta go for an ice cap, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because they're like so bad for you.
And you're lactose intolerant?
Yeah.
How did you, what did you, like how did that?
And after an ice cap, would you commit war crimes in the bathroom?
If I didn't take a lactate, yes.
Okay, yes.
Wait, do they have like pills to subside?
Yeah.
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
Like little lactose enzyme.
I got her
things.
those for Christmas.
Oh, that's really cool.
My brother Graham, shout out Graham, is also definitely lactose intolerant, but he refuses to admit it. I tried to buy him those pills once, and he's
I
like,
at least
nah.
admit it.
Yeah, yeah.
I avoid it now.
Ethan mentioned to me, my brother came to visit me for a couple of days for our listeners. He mentioned that he's not liking dairy that much. He's feeling like he might be a little, every time he,
I think it's a thing.
I think I grew it. I think like I used to drink dairy all the time when I was growing up, but in first year I stopped because I didn't want to buy a carton of milk because I had a mini fridge.
Right.
So I like stopped drinking milk pretty much entirely, and like other than that I wasn't having any dairy products really. And I think I kind of like grew into a
well, if you
I think it's a thing that fluctuates, you know, because like when I was first living here, I didn't have milk ever, and then I started buying milk again, and I was just gas, you know, for like 3 weeks, and then I was okay. Like for me, it came back. You know, I feel like it's something that if you stop drinking milk, it goes away, and then if you start drinking milk
Yeah.
again, it comes back. But it clearly did not come back for you.
well, it's funny because Ethan said this to me and then proceeds over the course of the next couple hours to eat 2 giant bowls of corn pops. You know, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, in your tiny little apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always been this kind of like debate between, you know, like they're not even a debate, but this kind of, you know, turf war between the tea drinkers and the coffee drinkers. A fun fact though is the Boston Tea Party actually helped popularize coffee in America, which is pretty interesting.
I think you can shower if you like.
In the lead up to the
Okay.
Revolutionary War, it became patriotic to sip Java in lieu tea, huh? Of PBS reveals, okay, blah, blah, blah. The Civil War also made the drink more persuasive because it helped energize tired troops. It's pretty interesting. So a tea party, the Boston Tea Party, helped popularize coffee in America. It's interesting. The word coffee comes from the Arabic word for wine. Kahwa later became kahve in Turkish, and then kafe in Dutch, which is where we get the English word coffee. That's pretty cool. Neat. Yeah. Surprised that it wasn't an original like derivative of Latin.
Yeah, sounds Latin.
Yeah, it sounds kind of Latin. Whoa, okay.
Starbucks opens an average of 2 stores per day. Holy crap,
That's
people.
crazy.
They don't
That's
even have good
crazy.
coffee. Their coffee tastes burnt, man. How do you burn a liquid?
Okay, this is my thing with Starbucks. Speed, fast coffee, right? You know, like fast food coffee. If you oversteam, if your milk is getting steamed for more than like a half second long, you'll burn your milk. If it's understeamed, it'll taste like completely separate from. You know what I mean? So if you don't like
But
focus
like,
on your
I'm
coffee,
even talking just if I get a black coffee, it tastes
burnt?
burnt. Because like, you know, sometimes you go to Burger King or whatever and the coffee's just old and that
Yeah.
tastes like old coffee. This stuff like tastes like they cooked it too hot, you know?
Starbucks, if I ever get a hot chocolate, it's often like way too hot most
Yeah?
of the time. Yeah. I don't know. You know what'd be cool is if they had one of, like, you know how for wine you can iodize your wine because they sell these like steel sticks that have like a weave of metal that is wrapped around crystal quartz. And if
I
you
had no idea.
It's really cool. If you can, they're like crystal wands, and if you put them in your wine, it kind of like thins out your wine, so it does something like ionic, cool, sciencey stuff. It makes the wine taste really good and really smooth.
Sounds like some Gwyneth Paltrow goop stuff.
Yeah, it might be, you know, some like OK Boomer, you know, Scientology weird shit. But anyways, if they had something like that for coffee, that'd be pretty cool. Because they have like cream tabloids and like a lot of neat little things like that. But yeah, are we off at 10:02? Or on the hour?
We're on the hour. We have 10 minutes left.
All right. One of my weirdest experiences at the coffee shop was having to make coffee and food at the same time, and the weird combinations that I would find people wanting with their coffee. I found a lot of people wanted like really, really veggie, like kind of sour, tangy foods after or with their coffee. We had this
Asparagus?
It was like a beetroot chutney. It was like kind of like a weird chutney that we would put on our bread, and the chutney was super, super sour and like brown and nasty. But every single person that came to get coffee that had ever had like a chutney sandwich or anything, any of our chutney on any of their food, would like crave it. But it was to me and to a lot of other people and friends that would come in, I'd get them to try it. It was disgusting. But if you had an espresso, 8 times out of 10 they were getting like the chutney based bread. It's really gross. I don't know if it's like a real correlation or if it was just a consistency with the fact that we were selling it and it was maybe good to them. But a lot of people like tangy, nasty
like
foods.
Bitter, tangy, and sour going together. You know, like the bitter coffee with like a sour, tangy.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like most people like sweet with their bitter. You know, donut or something.
Yeah, or like a sweet or salty after, or salty before and sweet after.
Did you ever watch Futurama?
I haven't watched it full. I've watched it though. Like I've watched it.
Because one of my favorite episodes is everyone gets a $300 stimulus bill.
Stimulus bill?
It's like a tax return, but it takes the form of $300 bill. And the one character, Fry, decides that he's going to buy 100 cups of coffee because I guess the going rate in the future is $3 a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And when he achieves, he's like shaking and he's sweating and he's like at 99, and he has his 100th cup, and he just transcends. He becomes he becomes the Flash essentially. Everything else is frozen. He's just like wandering around like in sublime bliss.
What the heck?
At like super speeds, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Futurama is such a great show.
That was an
man.
amazing show, man.
On that amount of coffee, cool little fact, the largest cup of coffee ever filled was 9 feet tall for a total of 3,000.
Now that's a real tall.
That's a real, Starbucks can, that was rude, but they should look at that cup of coffee. 3,487 gallons.
Gallons.
Gallons. Serving earned a Guinness World Record in 2012. Oh, that was funny. Apparently 1 cup of black coffee only has 1 calorie.
I knew this.
You knew
that? I was doing my calorie counting or whatever, and like, you know, I was trying to do the skip breakfast, intermittent fasting fad or whatever, and I'd have a cup of coffee in the morning, and it'd tell me my breakfast was, 3 calories because I had 3 cups of coffee.
Holy shit.
So I had an extra 100 calories that I could have at lunch or something like that.
Oh,
It would be
nice.
like, good job on having a small breakfast, and I'm like, yeah, 4-calorie breakfast.
What I'm kind of gathering is like coffee's one of those things that it can either like benefit you or hinder you in terms of like your regulatory use. Like if you're like a coffee fanatic, you can obviously you'd be facing more detriments than benefits. But if it's like a once in a time, like a once every few days type of thing, it seems like it's quite beneficial actually.
Okay, I have one thing to add. Did you know that you can go to Tim Hortons and you can order a Wayne Gretzky coffee?
No.
A Wayne Gretzky coffee is 9 sugars and 9 creams because his number was 99.
Oh my God, that's so disgusting.
So the very Canadian thing is the double-double, right?
Yeah.
But apparently you can go in there and you can say a Wayne Gretzky, and they're trained to know what that is. That's 9 sugars and 9 creams, which is...
Oh my God, that's so gross.
That is really gross.
I feel like it wouldn't even look like coffee. It'd be like milk. It'd look like white.
Yeah, but it would probably like kick you in the butt, though. All that sugar, you'd be like buzzing for the next 15 minutes at least, you know?
Oh, there'd be so much. You'd probably taste the grain.
Yeah. It'd be like Sunny D. You remember Sunny D's old formula?
I remember Sunny D, like when we were in elementary school.
Well, it's still around, and I had it recently, but like
not the same.
When we were in elementary school or something like that, it just tasted like sugar. Like,
aspartame.
You could feel the grains of sugar against your teeth.
Yeah. I remember cracking them open, and you could actually like it when sugar hardens.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
I don't know how that was legal, and I don't know how. Like their marketing was all like, oh, vitamin D, da 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 da, and it's like,
dude, I don't know how
it's essentially Tang with added sugar.
Yes.
You know?
I don't know how Dunkaroos were legal. I don't know how those cheese sticks. Remember the cheese sticks?
Yeah.
The friggin' those things, man. It's pretty funny that we learned to like barter with food as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me too, I found the funny thing was like Lunchables, right?
Yeah.
Because that was like a big treat. Like, oh, I'm getting a Lunchable today, and it was just
Stacks
a
of
plastic thing with like these gross crackers and like,
Oh.
you know when ham sweats?
Yeah, yeah.
It gets like greasy.
Yeah.
Like just like a stack
Pours
of ham,
out.
and you pick up the first piece, and like the rest of it comes with it. You know,
Oh
like it was
God.
disgusting.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is the great thing, but like a homemade sandwich was like, oh, another homemade sandwich. Oh, my mom only made me a sandwich today, and you have Lunchables. You want to trade?
Those kids, the kids that always balled out were the ones that had like anything that had to go in the microwave that was like a ready to go, not made by your mom.
yeah.
That would go in the but like you'd got it from the store, and then you'd put like a pizza pocket. That whoever had a pizza pocket was like the god of the classroom.
That was
day.
me for every once in a while. I think like once a week, my mom would let me bring a pizza pocket.
I've always wanted a pizza
Yeah.
pocket. There's a lot of different ways you can get coffee. Coffee's very diverse. At Dunkin' Donuts, you can actually order coffee 25,000 different ways at one establishment. The recently named donut chain did the math on its customizable Java drinks. It sells 2 billion cups globally per year, enough for customers to pick each option 80,000 times.
I have one more stat for you.
Yeah,
So you might have to fact check this for me because I don't know
Sure.
how many times it loops around the Earth.
sure.
But apparently every year enough of those K-cup disposable pods are discarded in the garbage to go around the Earth like once or twice, maybe 3 times. Like if you stack them end to end, like that's how many.
What the hell?
Yeah. And the inventor of the K-cup is like regrets his invention. He says like he's ruined the planet. Like he hates Keurig.
Oh, damn. Frig.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's
Because
insane.
he thought people would use it to replace Starbucks, so he thought this little cup better for the environment than this cup.
Just
But
added to the pot.
He wasn't expecting people to make it at home.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like he thought people would essentially use it just at work when they couldn't stop at Starbucks or something like that.
Can you? So how many rotations around the Earth again was it? You
I think it was like 2, 3 maybe.
That's
Like there's,
crazy.
I don't know. It might even be like up to 7, but it definitely it's like a couple times around the Earth for sure.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this is how misinformation spreads. I just say
Yeah.
things, you know.
That is, yeah, see, that's another negative about coffee. I'm trying to think if like I'm trying to decide whether coffee's good or bad, you know? I don't know. Apparently, the grounds of coffee are used in many facial skincare products, and they can actually beautify your skin. People recommend that you save your leftover beans for a DIY scrub. Coffee grounds are physical exfoliators that can lift off dead skin cells, making skin feel smooth and look brighter.
Wow.
I would not take that at the expense of our earth, though, for pods.
Well, that's definitely better than what we used to do, which was put plastic beads in these things that ended up in water supplies.
We used to, what?
Yeah, you know those face scrubs or whatever? I think Canada only banned them like 2 years ago.
They'd have plastic beads?
They had
in them?
plastic beads,
Oh,
that's what the abrasive was.
Did you ever hear about, there's always been like a lot of situations with Orbeez? Did you hear about the guy in the UK that
Oh,
ruined his
yeah.
entire town's
You were
sewage?
telling me about that last week.
It's
Yeah.
nuts, man. I'm still thinking
All right,
about
we're into
that.
our last minute here. So
Yeah.
I just want to say, see a veteran today,
Mm-hmm.
say thank you. At 11, have a moment of silence.
Mm-hmm.
We're not wearing poppies. I left mine in my car, but I do have one in my car. Buy a poppy. It supports the Canadian Legion, which is a good organization. They do good work for veterans, and they really help out.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Everybody, just moment of silence, 11 o'clock, lest we forget.